What's going on YouTube? Elsa STi here this Sunday afternoon here in Colorado. We're going to be talking about something that's probably one of the most discussed topics when it comes to Subarus. People tell me I have a Subaru channel. I don't know if I agree with that, but I do drive an STi. That's right, we're going to talk about what oil you should use in your Subaru STi. I know what some of you are saying, oh no, not the oil topic, but if this is a Subaru channel after all, how can we not talk about oil? The first thing we have to talk about when it comes to Subaru STIs and oil is you have to understand the different categories of oil you have to choose from. The first thing you understand is your Shell oil, your Valvolines, things like that. Those are your big corporate brands of oil. Typically, they make a good oil. They have a lot of money, a lot of R&D investments in their oil. They make a large batch of a lot of good oil. However, that oil is not always right for every car. Next, you have what I would call your boutique oils, right? Your more higher dollar, smaller batch, smaller R&D type companies. Those are gonna be your AMSOIL, your Schaeffers, things like that. Now those companies, again, not as large, aren't making as much, but they spend a lot of time and take a lot of pride in their proprietary blends and the additive packages they're putting in with their higher quality oil. But again, always not right for everyone. And last, you have your cheap Walmart brand oil or the no-name brand oil you see at the gas station. Those companies work with contractors which make this oil, which can be good, it can be bad, it's cheap, it usually doesn't have a lot of detergents added, a lot of special additive packages added. Typically it's missing those things. Those are oils, generally speaking, especially in our cars, being high performance, high temperatures, that typically get beat on a bit more. You want to stay away from those cheap oils you find in your department store or local gas station. All right, so where does that leave us? You probably have heard of a brand of oil called Shell Rotella T6. It's actually a diesel oil that Shell makes, made for turbo diesel engines, and it's actually run in a lot of Subarus over the last 10 to 12 years. And honestly, you'll hear a lot of talk, a lot of rumor, but it's actually a very good oil to run in your Subaru. Don't get me wrong, if you take your car into somebody and you bring oil with you and you say, put this diesel oil in my EJ257, they may look at you like you're crazy. But don't worry, Rotella T6 5W40 does really, really well in these EJ25 motors. Now, before the trolls start coming down in the comments and blasting me about saying that, I know that this to be correct. Absolutely 100%, no speculation. The UOAs, or oil analysis I've seen over the years, have come back consistently good for T6 and the EJ25 motors. So the people that want to talk about, oh, T6 is garbage, there's problems, you don't want to run that, don't buy into it. If you don't believe me, actually check this out. Oh yes, the holy grail, it's T6. I ran T6 for the first oil change. I got my oil changed at 1,000 miles to take out the dyno oil from Subaru. And let me tell you, going from dyno oil from Subaru, the OEM stuff, to T6, people think I'm crazy, but the fact that it just smoothed the car out so much. What I mean by smooth the car out is it ran smoother. It shifted smoother. It just really quieted the noise down from the motor considerably. People say that that's crazy, that it's not even possible, but believe me, I experienced it myself when I put this in, I dropped the OEM stuff from the break-in, it made a significant difference. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I made 5 extra horsepower from changing from OEM to T6. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it quieted things down and really just smoothed out the drivability of the car. This stuff is fantastic. So many people talk about being able to run it for 5,000, 7,000 miles and have no problems whatsoever with that interval. T6 is a great choice because it's cheap. You can find it just about anywhere now, especially because it's at every Walmart, it seems. So if you have a Walmart, which most people do, you can find it for a good price. So again, one of the oils I suggest and I still recommend, I've seen the UAs on them, Rotella T6 does a good job in your EJ motors. One thing to keep in mind is this is for the EJ motor only. This does not mean for the FA motor. I have not seen any research or any FA owners running T6. I'm sure they're out there, but I'm just not involved in that community as much, obviously, so I haven't seen much on it. But again, T6 for the EJ257s, not for the new FAs. They could be okay, but I'm assuming from what I've heard about the FA, it would not be a good choice for you. So again, T6 for the old EJ only. Now you may ask, Elsa, what do you run? I run Schaeffer's Supreme 9000 oil. I know what you're saying, Schaeffer's? I've never even heard of that. What is that? Schaeffer's is a quality product. It's one of the oldest companies. It's been around forever. You talk to anybody that works in manufacturing or any kind of heavy machine industry, they're probably going to know Schaeffer's lubricants and oils. It's typically a B2B or business-to-business type company which sells their stuff to large corporations, manufacturing companies that need to keep their machines up and running and reduce service intervals to make more money and more profit. So I said, they typically have like any kind of big mining operation, any kind of major machine factory, they're using Schaeffer's products. However, the problem is, and why you may have never heard of Schaeffer's is, they really don't do B2C or business to consumer sales. You can't walk into AutoZone and find Schaeffer's. They don't sell it there, or any other automotive store for that matter. You're only gonna find Schaeffer's one of two ways. If you know someone personally, an individual, let's say a distributor, that's how you can get yourself some Schaeffer's, or a lot of automotive performance shops also carry Schaeffer's, at least here in the Denver, Colorado area. Any of the major Subaru performance shops here in Denver, you go in there, they're gonna be a Schaeffer's distributor and they're gonna push you towards Schaeffer's products. And for good reason. One of the high horsepower WRXs here in the Denver, Colorado area, he's actually a Schaeffer's distributor. He runs Schaeffer's in his own vehicles. And he also did some demonstrations for us. And I said I was impressed with the demonstration. I've heard nothing but good things from his UOAs. They come back excellent. And he's running some high power on his WRX, like stupid power. So again, he tells me, like, he goes, the proof's in the pudding. You look at it, the intervals are fantastic. All the numbers are in great range, where they should be. Schaeffer's, no doubt, no question, is a quality product. They don't spend any money on marketing. That's why you've never heard of them. They spend their money on R&D, producing the oil, and I said, letting word of mouth take care of the rest and how good their product really is, and it really is a fantastic oil. One thing that you should be familiar with when it comes to oils in the Subaru STi is the viscosity. This is a hotly debated topic, but we're going to address it straight on here. And if you disagree, leave me a comment down below and we can fight it out. And believe me, I'm no expert, but here's what I know and through the research I have done. 5W30 oil is fantastic, and it's typically the oil that comes from Subaru is also an energy conserving oil, which means that it's made and formulated for gas mileage. As most of you know, we don't care about gas mileage, typically, because the gas mileage in this thing sucks. So if I lose a gallon or two per mile, it's not going to affect me that much because I'm already paying out the nose for gas anyways. Most people typically run here in Denver the 5W40. 5W40 is going to be just fine for your motor. If you look in the manual of your STi, you'll see that it says 5W30 is the recommended. However, you can put in 5W40 if you need to, although they recommend you flush it out as soon as possible and get the 5W30 back in. But that's because Subaru cares more about gas mileage and efficiency and getting their numbers to be stable than the performance and protecting of your engine. But it's not just the 5W40 versus the 5W30. And again, the latter number being, I said, it's viscosity at temperature that you have to worry about. The key thing here is something called HTHS. Have you ever heard of HTHS? Most people have no idea what it is and what it means. What it means is high temperature, high shear viscosity. And one thing we know about the EJ257 is it runs really hot. This engine gets hot. So high temperatures, a lot of oils that people talk about as being bad oils for the STi and this old EJ, comes down to the fact that they shear down under high temperature. They don't have a good HTHS rating. Now my Schaeffer Supreme 9000 has an HTHS of 4.05, which is very high. So what that means is even under high temperature, it's not susceptible to shearing down to a very thin oil, which again, the thinner you get, more moving parts, less lubrication, you're gonna have wear and tear on your engine. So again, a very high HTHS number is important, and the Schaeffer Supreme 9000 provides a very stable oil at high temperatures, and that's one of the reasons why I run it. The reason Supreme 9000 does so well is because of two things. It's a quality oil. In terms of the oil standards, they use good quality stuff, but the additives they put in, one of which is proprietary, which is Penetro, again, in terms of lubrication, it's just really gonna be an ultra lubricating oil for your engine, which is gonna make it more efficient. It's gonna squeeze just a tiny hair bit more out of power because you're not losing it in terms of friction, as well as it's gonna keep everything clean and running correct. Those two additives are, first, Penetro, which is a proprietary to Schaeffer's, proprietary additive blend they add in, but also Micron Moly. You've probably heard of Moly if you've been in the oil game for a while. And Moly, again, is another thing that's going to be making a lubricating film with your oil, and it's going to make it, I said, one of the better oils that you can actually run. You want an oil that has a lot of Micron Moly or Moly added to it. Again, it's going to reduce wear and tear, it's going to increase engine efficiency, and eke out just a slight hair, a bit more power out of your engine. Another area we should talk about is what kind of oil filter you should use. Now, there's really two choices here. They call it the Subaru Blue filter or the Subaru Black filter. Now, you can go out and buy aftermarket oil filters, and there's all kinds of options, but let me caution you. You want to just stick to the OEM filters because there's no difference in terms of filtration properties between the Subaru Black and the Subaru Blue filters. Also, the Subaru Blue filters have the recommended bypass pressure that you need for this engine. So again, bypass pressure when it comes to oil filters is important, so you want to stick with whatever Subaru is providing. I run the Subaru Blue OEM filter, which came from the factory, and I have had no problems whatsoever. So don't go out and buy an aftermarket filter because they're constructed better, have a larger surface area. You want to make sure your pressure is right. Just stick with Subaru because honestly, it's not going to make that big of a difference. So how do you know that your oil and your engine aren't getting along very well? You should be checking your oil levels every time you fill up your gas tank. It's just a good habit to get into. Subarus are known for liking to drink a bit of oil, especially these. So I said, when you're at a gas station, check your oil level. If you're definitely burning and consuming oil, it might be time to either shorten up your interval or consider changing oils altogether. Okay, so you can't find Schaeffer Supreme 9000. What should you look at? Well, of course, I'm gonna say Rotella T6 is a good option for you. Keep your intervals maybe around 3,500 to 5,000. You're gonna be just fine with T6. Other ones to consider would be a Motul 300V. That one's also a very good oil for this engine. Also look at Redline and the Castrol Edge, but the European blends typically are pretty nice as well. So that's it for a talk about oil, which may seem like an infomercial, but I'm a firm believer in Schaeffer's. I'm also a pretty firm believer in Rotella T6. What do you run in your car, Subaru or otherwise? Let me know down in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching. If you found it helpful, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you again next time.